Good evening, I'm Andrew Kukla. I'm the president of the board here at Catch, and we are very grateful that you are here with us. We wish we could have been in person for Catch the Flavor, but we are so excited that you are still here with us for this great program and have been with us to support our work during these turbulent times. This year, we housed over 40 families and more than 60 individuals. Our greatest impediment to this work right now is inventory. So if you know someone who has housing, if you have housing, please get us connected with them. A wonderful example of that is Pacific Companies, our title sponsor tonight, who has been a great partner in developing housing inventory. We are grateful for all of our sponsors and you, our supporters, and we are excited to have this great evening in which we realize that together we can make sure every family, every person has a home. Thank you and enjoy your evening.
Good evening, and thank you for joining us on this fall Wednesday, Thursday actually now, Wednesday here in the City of Trees. My name is Isabel Bilbao, and I am so thankful to be with you this evening and help us raise money for Catch. I'm going to put it out there. We are here to raise $75,000 tonight, and we need all of you who are on today to make that happen. Your $75,000 will go to help housing 10 families in the Treasure Valley. 10 families will be off our streets, and we couldn't ask for anything more. So get out your checkbooks, go to the website that's online there, make a donation, buy an auction item, and be sure to spend money tonight because that is why we are here. Well, I want to give you a little bit of background so you know that we still have a long way to go, but Catch is moving quickly. There are over 300 families in the Treasure Valley right now that are experiencing homelessness. And when we're talking about families, we're talking about moms, dads, kids, everybody. We need to get them into homes. Those families right now are living in cars, if you can believe that. And many of them are gearing up for a cold winter ahead. The goal, again, tonight is to raise $75,000 to put 10 of those families into homes in the Treasure Valley and also raise awareness about homelessness that we have here because it is a problem and we need to get it solved. There is a plan thanks to Catch. Tonight, we are going to hear from a brave young lady. She's going to tell us about her story of being homeless and how Catch has helped her. We also want to talk about not only the past, but the present and the future of the organization and the collaborative effort to end family homelessness, again, here in the Treasure Valley with the goal of placing all of those 300 families by 2026. Remember, it is 2021, so we are only 5 years down the road, but we can do it, and we're going to start by doing that tonight. For those of you who are joining us, we want you to enjoy your tasty meals that you have received, provided by Under the Table with dessert by Certified Bakery, and again, beer from Lost Grove Brewing. We really appreciate all of their support. We also want you to engage with us here at Catch tonight through our social media channels. So get on there, take pictures of the parties you're having, take pictures of your family, post comments, talk to us, talk to each other. We know that the more energy we get here, the more money we are going to raise. So we are very excited about that. Before we pass you on to our food sponsors, I do want to publicly thank all of our financial sponsors because without them, we couldn't be here tonight. The title sponsor, the Pacific Companies, thank you very much. Welcome home sponsors, St. Alphonsus, Boise Cascade, Hawkins Company, St. Luke's, Tomlinson and Associates. Our housewarming sponsors, Kendall Auto Group, Perkins Coie, Hewlett Packard, QB Solutions, Idaho Central Credit Union, Diana L. Campaign Funds, Horizon Credit Union, Manco Abbott, Elam and Burke, and Optum Idaho. Lastly, we must thank BSU's Masterclass for helping us here at Catch and our team to make sure this event goes off smoothly. So now we've done our thank yous, reminded you why you're here to spend money. We're going to send it over to Aiden's Kitchen.
Good evening, Aiden. Can you please introduce yourself?
Hi, my name is Aiden Paulson, and I'm the owner and chef for Under the Table Boise.
And can you tell us about the unique partnership?
Yes, I work here at One Stone, and we've been a Catch partner for a couple of years now through our Project Good, as well as doing some culinary work here with Catch the Flavor. This is our second year with Catch, and we're super excited to continue this relationship and partnership.
And what will folks be eating tonight?
Tonight we have 4 amazing courses prepared for you, some of my favorites for the fall. Your first course is an appetizer. We have a prosciutto wrapped melon with a fresh fig and some balsamic reduction. For your second course, we have a delicious roasted red pepper tomato soup, And then of course for your entree, because it's fall, you want something hearty and delicious. So we've created for you a smoked cheddar truffle mac and cheese. So super excited for that. It also has bacon, because who again doesn't love bacon? And then for dessert, compliments of certified bakery, we have a delicious carrot cake that I know is going to be delicious.
Why are you passionate about supporting Catch?
We love working with Catch. Here at One Stone, our mission is to make students better leaders and the world a better place. And what better way to do that than collaborate with organizations such as Catch that have such an important mission in our community to house some of our most vulnerable community members. So we're really honored to be here today and to support Catch in this initiative.
Thank you, Aiden.
Have a great rest of your evening and enjoy.
Idaho Central Credit Union is honored to support Catch's vision to end homelessness in the Treasure Valley. Every family, every person, a home. ICCU is committed to giving back to the communities we serve and to make them even better places to live and work. Our goal is to support tonight's event in exceeding Catch's goal of raising $75,000 and hope that each of you can help in making this a success. Thank you for coming. We're so glad you're here. Enjoy the evening.
Thank you to ICCU, Under the Table Boise, and One Stone. We hope that all of you are enjoying your meal tonight. This is just such a cool way to be able to go virtually and be with you as you're dining and spending money here at Catch. Again, go online, pull out a checkbook, buy auction items. The reason we're asking you to do this is because homelessness, as we said, is happening here. We know it, we see it. But do we know the faces of people affected? Tonight, you're going to hear, as we take you into the past, from Ashley Johnson. She is a Catch graduate, but she is vulnerable and brave to come before you tonight and tell you her story and where she was. And as we go through the evening, you'll hear where she is today. Ashley.
Ashley Johnson was married for 15 years and had 2 children before getting divorced. She was a victim and perpetrator of domestic violence. Ashley and her husband also used drugs. She described her marriage as unhealthy, both for her and the kids. Ashley's daughter, who was on the autism spectrum, was sexually molested by her grandfather. When Ashley tried to address the issue, her then-husband said it was best not to talk or do anything about it. Ashley says that response was the main reason why she pursued a divorce and subsequently became homeless. Ashley Johnson and her 2 children were homeless for 2 years. They lived in Ashley's car, cheap hotels when they could afford it, and on occasion were able to stay at her dad's house. They showered at community centers like the YMCA and spent long days in their hot or cold car, depending on the season. Ashley heard of Catch's rapid rehousing program from a friend and never thought she would get in due to her drug usage.
That is an incredible story, and we're actually going to talk to Ashley later and hear in her own words. So I hope that you're looking forward to that as much as I am. We're now going to go to interview some of Catch's founding fathers. A founding board member, Bruce Mcmahon, will be joining us, and former executive director Wyatt Schrader also joining us. Gentlemen, thank you for being here tonight and taking the time to answer our questions about Catch for those of us who aren't always involved in your program but want to learn more.
Of course, we're glad to be here.
Well, good. We're going to have a little delay, so we'll work with each other here. You know, Bruce, we want to start with you. When, how, why did Catch become a nonprofit? Give us a little bit of history, as you're one of the people who started it.
Yeah, I'd be glad to. The city pro Catch in 06, but it kind of outgrew the city limits in a few years because of its success. In 2008, the program had won a national housing award, and it started getting on the radar of other cities. So the phones were ringing, yep. And Catch was being asked to go to other places. So in 2010, the nonprofit was created as a corporation, a nonprofit corporation in Idaho. And then from 2011 to about 2013, step by step, we moved the 2 city programs. There was one in Canyon County in Nampa. We moved, and the one in Boise. We slowly moved those pieces into the nonprofit. And that's what we have, basically a growth story.
Well, I want you to tell me, Wyatt, now about the Catch that you inherited and the Catch that we have today.
Sure. Well, because he won't do it properly, I want to give
all the kudos to Bruce here for any number of things, but he put 10 years into board service from when Catch was just like this small little incubation all the way until it got handed off to its second executive director. And the number of like trials and tribulations you saw through, board member doesn't even give appropriate like title for what Bruce helped shepherd here. So like every organization hopes for a founder like Bruce. And so because of that, like I got to watch Bruce when I first came on as executive director, and I think we were like in that next like phase of growth, and really I think so much of our work when I became director was building this foundation, like who we've survived, we've gotten through to this next iteration, but now we need to look at the community a little bit more and say, what's our role in connecting to others? What's our role as a collaborative lead? How can we not just inspire a positive, successful catch, but how can we actually end homelessness and work backwards from that thought? And so I think that really allowed us to become less of an organizational vision and look more towards a community vision. And I think one thing that we did incredibly well during that time was hire really well. And so many of the Catch leadership that you're going to meet tonight has been with Catch for a number of years and successfully built this community vision and are the leaders in case management, supportive services, housing first, and the role in ending homelessness. So you're supporting an amazing organization here tonight.
Well, I have a question for you guys. So, I mean, you really have to have a vision for this. When you say end homelessness, it seems like a super daunting task and almost impossible, but we can do that here in Boise, right?
Yeah, I think we're at a very specific moment right now. Frankly, we're in a moment with a pandemic, with a racial reckoning that's, I think, sapping a certain amount of hope in a lot of our conversations. But I think for our part, the reason like people like us and all the staff you're going to see keep investing in this work is because it is possible. We can end homelessness on an individual basis by giving someone a safe and stable home and then giving them the wraparound services. It's incredibly successful. Like locally here, each year that someone goes through supportive housing, 90% of them are successful and do not come back into homelessness. It works. So it works on an individual level, and we're not yet at a Portland level, a Seattle level, an LA level where it's not impossible for us to work backwards from the idea that as a community, we can rapidly end homelessness for each individual who needs it.
Awesome.
That's right, right?
That's right. Yeah.
That's what makes it so possible, right? We're not at those levels, so it's still manageable.
Yeah, I think most communities would trade for our numbers. I mean, but it is also growing. So there's very much an urgency. So the more that you can reach into your pocket tonight to make tonight successful, the more rapidly we can end homelessness. So there's a direct relationship. And this is one thing, I think Bruce's finance mind helped us realize very early on is like there's a quantified relationship between the amount of assistance we give, the amount you donate, and our ability to end homelessness.
That's right. Yeah. Top line, and the top line is the donors and the bottom line is the services rendered. And they kind of have to stay near each other.
Thank you for asking donors, because we want to keep asking donors to get out their checkbooks and help us raise money. Okay, Bruce, I'm supposed to have you ask us or tell us about the motorcycle story.
The famous or infamous motorcycle story.
It's famous. There's nothing infamous about it.
Well, in the startup years, probably 2012 was our first startup year where the top line donations were a little hit and miss. But the expenses of the program were very steady. So we had a monthly mortgage and we had payroll. And there came a time when we were counting on a pretty key donor and it fell through. And this was on a Thursday. And the executive director and we just put our heads together and said, how are we going to make payroll tomorrow? And it so happened that I had finished up some motorcycle riding with my son. We had done a couple of tours and we were done with it. And we were going to sell the bikes. And so I thought, well, let's sell at least my bike. My son did not participate. He didn't want his bike sold underneath him. But anyway, that takes time. So I went down to the credit union. I said, I need a signature loan for the value of this motorcycle that I think I can sell shortly. And they let me walk out with some proceeds. And it went into Catch's account and we made payroll the next day. And then the bike sold a week later, I think. And paid off the loan, and that was that.
It's insane. That's insanely generous.
Well, motorcycles aren't that valuable anymore.
He says this in hindsight after it's sold to meet payroll.
Right. after the gracious donation. Well, thank you, Bruce. And thanks to both of you for really all that you do, the visionary to make it happen and continuing to move it forward and advance it to where we can really wrap our arms around this. So thank you both for being here. And we hope to learn more about this great organization as we go forward. Thank you.
Hey.
Well, now we are going to send it right over to a very special person in this community, a friend of mine. So Diana and Roger, I see there. I'm really excited to see both of you to be a part of this. And you guys are actually having a watch party at home.
We are. We're excited to be here to share the Catch story with our kids. This is Julian in the background. Wave hi, Julian. Hi. Thanks for having us.
So tell me a little bit about Catch. Like, why is this so important to you for both of you to be here, I guess?
Well, I'll kick it off. For me, having worked with homeless service providers, the thing that has always stood out to me about Catch is their commitment to continuous improvement and their commitment to data and really making sure that they're constantly finding ways to improve their program and improve the way they do business. And you don't see that everywhere. And so it's been really important for me to really use Catch as a sounding board as I think about this issue. Certainly the leadership of both Wyatt and Stephanie Day, shout out Stephanie Day. I consider Catch to be one of the top organizations in our community when it comes to addressing homelessness and just for any nonprofit.
And you're hosting a watch party, you have your children there. What do you tell your children about homelessness and how do you educate them to be, good members of our community who want to work to also continue this effort past 2026? If we ever get into this bind again, we're going to have to do it again. What do you tell them and how do you encourage other parents to talk to their children about homelessness?
Well, to be honest, Julian's very excited to be here right now because he kind of wants to be a YouTuber. So that's kind of what's happening. But I think for any family, it's important for us to, really show our kids that they're a part of a community, and we're very fortunate to have a safe and secure home and food, and we don't have to worry about those things. But that not everybody has that, and it's up to us to be a part of a community that makes sure that kids everywhere have that. Anything you want to add?
Just only that as a physician, I know there's only so much we can do in the office, and that housing is just absolutely critical to addressing, health challenges and disparities that exist in our community.
Well, thank you both for what you do. All right, I'm going to tell Garrett to put that full screen up. Julian, this is your chance. Are you listening? Julian, are you there?
What? This is your big moment.
As an influencer, I want you to tell everybody watching that we need to raise $75,000. Say that.
$75,000
tonight to help 10 families in the Treasure Valley.
Help 10 families in the Treasure Valley.
Well done.
Thank you guys, thanks for joining us.
Okay.
All right, you heard Julian. He's going to be a big YouTube star, so we want to start listening to him right now to continue to raise that money. Thank you to Diana and Roger for joining us and sharing why this is so important for them.
Ashley remembers where she was when Catch called about an opening. She remembers meeting with her case manager, Abby, for the first time. Ashley said she was protective and lied about being on drugs because she was scared Catch wouldn't be able to help if they knew everything. Ashley remembers 2 visits she had while her family was living at a temporary hotel. One was her self-described guardian angel case manager, Abby, who met her where she was at and gave her support and reassurance that Catch would be there for her if she continued to remain in communication and work towards her goals. The other was the police who found Ashley on drugs and gave her an ultimatum: jail or rehab. Ashley remembers the joys and pains of rehab. She remembers feeling frustrated with herself and also feeling a sense of community. Ashley remembers getting calls and texts from her Catch case manager. She remembers her epiphany: my worst day sober is better than my best day high. Ashley completed rehab and continued to work with her case manager, Abby, on her short-term, realistic, and doable goals. She remembers how helpful Abby was in keeping her sober and living a more full life. Ashley remembers securing housing with the help of Catch 30 days after completing rehab. She remembers the feeling of stepping into her home for the first time and remembers the look on her kids' faces and feeling a sense of security she had always wanted.
Ashley is sure resilient, and we are so happy for her. Can't wait to hear more from her again later. But we also want to acknowledge our Catch case managers because they are truly guardian angels. Tonight, we're going to hear from them now on the program, what they do, and how their role plays a really big part in ending homelessness. And thank you all for joining us this evening.
Hi, thank you for having us tonight.
Hi.
We're going to get started so we can pull you all up there. So can you guys share with us, what homelessness is like and who's experiencing homelessness? I think we all can create a face of what we think homelessness looks like, but that isn't always the reality. So kind of describe the demographic out there today in the Treasure Valley.
Yeah, for sure. So my name is Sarah Busick, and I'm the programmer for our Path Home Connect. And what we do is we basically perform an intake for all people experiencing homelessness here in Ada County. Part of what that means is we bring them in for what we call a housing assessment. And what we do is we try to help them resolve their housing crisis as quickly as possible. Sometimes that means getting into a program. Sometimes that means resolving on their own with just a little bit of help. So one of the cool things I get to do is I get to meet a lot of cool people, and I get to get some data from those folks to tell you all about homelessness here, specifically in Ada County. So right now, waiting to get into the Taking Root program at Catch, we have 258 families all right now living on the streets or in a shelter, in their cars, camping, that sort of situation. About a third of those folks are fleeing domestic violence. So this means a third of the people that we are serving are trying to leave a situation for their safety and the safety of their children. One of the things that, I find important to educate people about in terms of people experiencing homelessness is that a lot of our folks are bringing in an income. About 40% of our families right now are working a permanent job and are unable to sustain, through sustain housing through that income that they're bringing in. We have a lot of single moms with one or two children, and a lot of those children are under the age of 8. So it's really important that we get them housed as quickly as possible to reduce the level of trauma that they're experiencing at such a young age.
Well, thank you for filling us in on kind of the demographic. Like you said, 40% collecting a paycheck. That's important that we hear that and know who is out there. And Sarah, we're going to send it over to you. Tell us a little bit. Jet. We just spoke to you, Sarah. Tell us a little bit about you, what you do, and really the misconceptions about people who are experiencing homelessness.
Sure. So I'm Jet Curtis. I'm the director of our street outreach program. So we're a 6-person team that just goes out into the community and meets people wherever they are experiencing homelessness, trying to get them connected to resources or services. We really focus on people who are unhoused and really need those connections. We also focus on people with serious mental health issues. And we hear a lot of misconceptions out there about folks. The community just isn't aware, and myths crop up. One of them, as we just discussed, is that people are unwilling to work. And as Sarah's statistics show, that's just not true. A lot of our folks are at least have a job or are actively looking for a job. Many of our folks who are disabled are on SSI. And the bottom line is it just isn't enough income to be able to afford housing in the current market. Another myth that we hear a lot is that the people who are experiencing homelessness are more violent or more likely to commit crimes. And just the opposite. our folks are much more likely to be victims of crimes than perpetrators. And any crimes they are committing are often what's called crimes of homelessness. So, for instance, getting a misdemeanor ticket for sleeping outside where it's not legal, those kinds of things.
Is really the North Star. What are other ways Catch supports folks who are experiencing homelessness? Jen, I'm going to have you answer that one before we get over to Jeremy.
So housing does take a long time for us and it's hard to get. So there are other ways that we help people who are experiencing homelessness while we are working towards housing. We can help them get connected to mental health treatment or even medical treatment. We help people with critical documents like IDs and birth certificates. And then just helping people survive, meeting basic needs like warm clothing, or even cell phones, which is a necessity these days, are things that we help with.
Explaining all of that. And Jeremy, tell us a little bit about your program, and you play a critical role as well as getting graduates through and making this all possible. So tell us about you, what you do, and really the effect it has on homelessness in the Treasure Valley.
With them step by step through the process to apply for housing. We can help support them through paying for their application fees. Once we're able to secure a landlord, we can pay for the deposit and that first month's rent. And then from that point on, we help them with intensive case management, and we can pay their rent for an extended period of time while we try to help them connect to other resources in the community and just empower them to fulfill whatever goals they need to accomplish. One of the best parts of our job in the rapid housing program is that moment when the family moves into the home, seeing the little kids run around the house and like pick out their bedrooms or point out parts of the home that they're getting to see for the first time is just one of the most amazing parts of what we get to do.
Because we are working with technology and because we are living in a COVID world, you froze up a little bit when you introduced yourself. So we're going to have you do it again. We can all make exceptions now. So tell us again who you are and a little bit about the rapid housing that you do for Catch.
That's okay. I'm going to do it much better this time anyway. So my name is Jeremy. I'm the director of the Rapid Housing Program. We work with families from the community that are experiencing homelessness or that are fleeing domestic violence. We work with them to identify what barriers they have to housing and work with them to overcome whatever those barriers are. We help them with applications and application fees. Once we're able to secure a landlord, we help them with that deposit and first month's rent. We even help them with the move-in process, and with help from the community, we help them with furnishing their home as best we can, and also with partners in the community. We provide, once they're housed, we provide intensive case management, and we try to connect them with as many resources as possible in the community, and then also to empower them to reach whatever goals they have to be stable in their home and also stable with their family. And one of the best parts of our job is that moment when they sign the lease and we get to help them with that move-in process, and seeing the little kids run around the house for the first time and like pick out their bedroom for the first time and see parts of their home for the first time is just one of the most amazing experiences we get to do.
Jeremy, I'm sure you did a great job the first time, but you nailed it the second time. So thank you for doing that. But you stole my next question. Just the faces of the kids that get into a home. I can't imagine what it's like for them to be, homeless and in schools and out there, and then finally to be able to go home and have a place that they can call their own.
Absolutely.
Thank you all. And we are so appreciative of all that you do and putting yourselves out there to be with the families and helping them find housing. So again, guardian angels for sure. Thank you for everything you do for Catch. In order to help these three and everyone else do what they need to do, we need you to donate money. $75,000 has to be raised tonight. And that is going to help 10 families. So it's $7,500 to really get a family in place. We need $75,000 tonight. And with your donations, we will be able to do that here at Catch. So again, go online to make the donation. I believe in the chat box, they put where you can write a check or where you can send a check. You can write a check to Catch for as big as you want and send it right to the address there. Again, go online not only to donate, but also a silent auction. So get competitive amongst your friends. And again, the good prizes go to the highest bidders. So put a lot of money in there. We need $75,000. I can't say it enough. Here's why we need it. We are now going to hear from Ashley. We've talked about Ashley throughout the evening. And now we want you to hear from Ashley on why this is so important.
Ashley and her 2 children have been stably housed, and Ashley is still sober. Her daughter is talking more, has increased her vocabulary, and is in school full-time. Her son is in school and is able to take baths after football practice. Ashley shared the comfort she feels knowing that her family has a home to go to, and how she no longer always has to have 3 tote bags packed. Ashley shared the joy she experiences from seeing her kids happy, having family dinners, and discovering new hobbies and interests. The Johnsons also recently added a new member to their family, a black lab puppy. Ashley is an alumni and volunteers for the addiction center she participated in. She aspires to work full-time for an addiction center or nonprofit that helps people experiencing homelessness and/or substance use disorders. Ashley Johnson said she is eternally grateful for Catch and all the people who helped her reclaim her self-worth.
Tasha, you've told us a lot about Ashley, and we really appreciate that because I am excited to tell you that Ashley Johnson is joining us now, and Tasha Bergman, a case catch manager, is also joining us, both here to talk about catch, how the program works, and then Ashley, you, of course, having a lived experience. So again, thank you for being here, putting yourself out there and being vulnerable for us. I'm going to ask you right off the bat, tell us how you felt that moment that you walked through the door of your new home.
I still feel like it was kind of a dream, and it was kind of like not my house, like I shouldn't be there. But I'm just so grateful, like to be given the house and to be given the help. And it's helped me focus on my recovery, and my kids like are so happy, like they get to have like their own little spots in the house and everything. So I'm still in shock, but I'm just trying to get used to it day by day.
Tell us about your kids and just really, you talk about the surprise and how it's crazy to call this your own home now, but how has it really changed your life and your children's life, just in your day-to-day living that we all, do every day? How has it made a difference? In what way to you?
Well, from going from not knowing where you're going to sleep at night to being able to have your own bedroom and to have like their own closets, like we don't have to live out of totes anymore. Like it was always have your things packed all the time to be able to leave if we needed to. But now it's like we get to have our own areas, our own space. Everyone, like the kids are well rested. They get to get up in the morning, breakfasts. The dog is like, it's nice to actually have like a family pet and everything. And they're just, happy. They get to bathe every day. Like we used to bathe at the YMCA, but now we're here. A life, and be able to live without worrying.
I think that, you do a great job of explaining it because we don't think about those things all the time, having to pack quickly or move quickly, having to bathe. So thank you for telling us about that, because your story really is going to help people spend money tonight to put other people in homes. Tisha, you also, you work with other clients in Catch, and just tell us what it's like to be a case manager and what that looks like for you and how critical it is that these homes happen.
Yeah, absolutely. I always describe my role as a case manager as kind of the passenger of a bus, and the clients are the ones driving the bus. They tell me where we need to go, what their goals are, and what they need to do to meet those goals. And all I really do is connect them to the resources to be able to connect them to the goals that they want to achieve. But when it comes down to it, there is not a lot that someone can do when they have no idea where they're going to sleep that night. The amount of stress that housing instability causes makes it almost impossible for someone to achieve their goals, just plain and simple.
I'm going to ask both of you this, and Tisha, I'm going to start with you to give Ashley a little time to think about it. But, you've kind of told us what it's like to be in a home and what it's like to get someone into a home. But what do you want those watching right now and those who are going to watch this later? And if you could shout it at the rooftops, What do you want people to know about homelessness?
I think my biggest thing is that folks that are experiencing housing instability, folks that are experiencing homelessness are people. I think it's really easy to forget that sometimes, but it all comes down to someone's very unique experience, and most of it comes down to trauma. The number one cause for homelessness is trauma, and then homelessness itself is also a very traumatic experience. So whatever they experience to bring them into their instability is just being built upon every single day that they continue to experience that instability. And it's something that's really, really difficult to come back from without the proper resources in place.
Ashley, what would you say to someone as you explain what it's like experiencing homelessness?
I think it's probably the worst thing anyone can ever experience. It ruins every part of your life, every aspect, from getting a job, from taking your kids to school and everything. You are constantly thinking about where you're going to sleep at night, if you're going to have enough money to sleep there. Are you going to have to sleep in the car? Are you going to get in trouble for sleeping in the car? Are you going to get your kids taken away from you? It's a serious problem. I see, just still, even finally getting a home, I see people living outside, and addiction has a lot of big part to do with it. And I just hope that the word gets out and people can get the help that they need, because it's a big issue we have here in Boise.
Well, thank you both for sharing your stories, talking about what you do, Tasha, and of course, Ashley, for being brave, coming out here and telling people what it's like and what you and your family have gone through when you were homeless. So we are so happy that you are a Catch graduate, and thank you again for sharing your story. If you want to hear more stories about people like Ashley, it really requires everyone to get involved. It requires us to be aware. It requires us to take part, and really how to do that is through a financial donation. You probably think, oh gosh, I donate in a lot of places all the time, but giving money to Catch allows them to properly spend the money they need to get people into homes. Again, $75,000 tonight and 10 families in homes. Can you imagine kids who are sleeping in a car tonight, what they're going to think when they walk into that house, all because of the money that you donated and that you raised? So again, no pressure, kind of. We got to get 10 families into homes ASAP. So $75,000. And now we're going to hear more client stories about the campaign. And again, how we're going to end homelessness in the Treasure Valley.
Homelessness isn't an out there thing. It's not this someone out there is experiencing homelessness. It's all of our neighbors. Like some of the kids that might be sitting next to them in the classroom are spending the night in a car or an emergency shelter. So really, we're all interconnected, and addressing homelessness makes the entire community healthier.
Our goal is to end homelessness in Idaho. There are way too many folks that don't have housing, don't have a secure and stable place to sleep every night, and our goal is to end that.
What we want to do is we want to resolve everyone's housing crisis as quickly as we possibly can, because what research shows us is that the longer someone stays in homelessness, the harder it is for them to stabilize later on down the road.
To be honest, there are lots of communities that are beyond the point where there's real hope. Portland, Seattle, Los Angeles, there are communities that really can't end homelessness. And we are not at that point. We are at a point right now where if we're proactive, we can keep ourselves from getting to that space. And it really is going to take a lot of community will.
I was homeless in Boise, and I lived out of my car when I found our path home, and they helped me transition out of my car and into my home.
We end family homelessness in Idaho by building partnerships between communities, landlords, property owners, developers, anybody that has housing or can create housing or can find housing, and the folks that are looking for housing.
They've got rental assistants that they fundraise and produce. They've got case managers that can work with a resident, and their focus is housing, but as they're working with these individuals, their goal is to get them into a stable living arrangement.
When people first come in, what we want to do is we really kind of want to triage their situation. So what we do is we bring them in and we do a housing assessment. They sit down for about an hour with our specialist and really dig into what their individual situation is so that we can direct them to the right resources and programs. Once they have done a housing assessment, if they have income that we can possibly utilize, we brainstorm ways to find them housing, whether it's traditional studio and up, or whether it's a room to rent from a complete stranger. That is where they fall onto my plate.
Going from being homeless and living on the street to actually working with a program where I could possibly have my own roof over my head and my son's head and have like a safe place so that we can progress in our lives. That feeling, I don't even, there's no words to describe it. As I started building up all of these things, like filling out applications or filling out resumes, it wasn't so scary to me and my self-esteem would go up. And I think that it made me realize that like I can do this and I can be a normal tenant and I'm able to sustain a home.
They helped me throughout the beginning of the process, from getting a tenant to fill out an application, going through, giving me their background history, and then recently having those particular applicants come into my office and meet face to face so I can see exactly who I'm speaking with, who I'm going to possibly be working with.
You want them to be successful just like the landlord would. So we do a lot of work with these families to make sure that it works out.
It was all about what I wanted to achieve, my goals, and meeting with my case manager and getting those resources to help me with my goals. I was able to, get used to being on my own again. I was able to get off drugs and just be confident in myself that I can do it. When I got the keys and I started moving things in and I finally could just sit down and look at my home that I had, it was an awe moment for me, and it made me realize that I could do anything. It was the most incredible feeling in the world.
If you would like to join the campaign to end family homelessness and rent to a family that is transitioning out of homelessness, our programs can actually provide a lot of support in that effort. So beyond just helping with rental assistance payments, deposits, utility assistance, we can also offer case management support. So if there are any issues with the tenant, we can help mediate those.
Think about this. If 100 landlords step up and do 2 or 3 units, let's say, we've now all of a sudden put in play 300 units of affordable housing effectively that now can be used by these families that are experiencing or about to experience the crisis that homelessness is. The landlords really don't have to do that much, and the taxpayers don't have to do that much either. So that's the real value I see in this, and that's why I'm asking anybody that will listen to this to join me in this effort, because we can change the situation. As this valley grows, we're going to face pressure. Homelessness is going to continue to be an issue. If we step up now, do something about this together as a community, we can solve this. This is a very solvable problem. We can win this one. Let's get on it. Let's do it.
I'm very passionate about the population that I work with. I think that some of our clients have some of the greatest stories of survival that I've ever heard in my life. And these are unique individuals that deserve to be treated like humans. And I always want to be a light or a beacon for someone when they need it.
Join us in ending family homelessness.
It was empowering to hear Caleb say, we can solve this problem. And that, I think, is the takeaway from tonight. This is doable, and we're doing it right now, thanks to Catch. So I love seeing the innovative ways that our community has come together to help solve this problem. We are resilient. Idahoans always have been, and we continue to be. And we're going to be in the future. And that's where we are in our program tonight. We've heard from the past, we've heard from the present, and now we're going to head into the future. Joining us now is Stephanie Day, Executive Director of Catch, and Andrea Clark Group, our title sponsor, Pacific Companies. Ladies, thank you for joining us tonight, of course, being here. Stephanie, thanks for all you do with Catch in leading the program forward. And Andrea, thank you, and your husband, Caleb, for all that you guys do, for being a title sponsor tonight, but really putting action into your words and creating those homes to get our Catch families into. So thank you. Stephanie, we're going to start with you. The biggest barrier, what are we seeing as the biggest problem getting families into housing?
Yeah, so that's actually, unfortunately, a really easy question to answer. It is the availability of affordable housing. We are seeing right now unprecedented limited stock of affordable housing. We're in this weird space in time. I've been working in the Treasure Valley on this issue for the last 14 years, and we're in a weird space in time that I've never really seen, where it's not just the lack of affordable housing, it's that a lot of affordable housing that has existed, maybe people who had rentals that were affordable-ish, are selling them, and the mortgages are much more, and the mortgage payments are much more, so the rents rise $500 or $600. So we're in a space and time where there's not enough affordable housing, and we're actually losing a lot of the affordable housing that's existed.
So Andrea, you and your husband, you guys come up, Pacific Companies has a way to change all this, and you call it designated units, I read here. What are they, and why is it important for developers like yourself in our community to create designated units for Idahoans?
Well, as Stephanie touched on, like, we have an unprecedented rental market right now where we're seeing almost zero vacancy. So imagine someone who can pay full rent with a great history of rental and great references and a good credit check, and they're renting homes sight unseen these days. And if you're a family looking to be rehomed, you're trying to compete with those people in this market.
Mm-hmm.
So what we really need is developers, property managers, property owners to say, hey, I'm going to set aside some units and I'm going to rent to a family who needs a home. I'm going to work with Catch. I'm going to work with their support services to make sure that this family is supported, is not an impact to my residents, has all the resources that they need to be successful. There's a very low rate of recidivism, and to help these families get out of poverty and be in a successful place. And so when we have market rate properties throughout the valley in apartments, we are effectively creating affordable housing by designating these units and helping rehome families. It also disperses these families throughout our community and helps them live in communities where there are other successful families. They get to be in our communities all over our valley. They don't have to be in a low-income neighborhood. They don't have to be in a low-income school. They get all this wraparound support services and give them the greatest chance of success. So we have all of these apartments throughout our valley, and we're looking for partners who get to say, yeah, I'm not going to rent to that sight unseen person. I'm going to rent to a previously homeless family and have all the support necessary through Catch to be able to support these families.
So we've talked about the face of homelessness, and Andrea, distill the fears of people who say, oh, I don't know, can I trust a homeless family in my unit? You've experienced this. Talk to us about that and how to take away that fear.
Well, so Catch has all of the supportive services to help these families. We, as a property owner, we provide the unit, and we provide direction to our property managers to work with Catch to support these families. That's what we do. Catch does the heavy lifting. They help move these families in. They do weekly visits. They support these families for everything that they need, whether it's financial management, work on getting their a job, stable employment and education for their children. And that is where the heavy lifting comes. I feel like our job is easy.
Oh, I don't.
We just provide the unit, and we work with Catch to be able to make sure that these families have a place to be. And that is where the heavy lift comes.
Well, and thank you. No one's job is easy, but if we all do it, it makes it a little bit easier for everybody. So thank you, Andrea, for explaining that. And Stephanie, how do you envision Catch tackling homelessness in the next 2 to 3 years? The goal is 10 families soon, but the long-term goal is 300 families by 2026. Can you do it?
Yeah, we totally can. And I'm going to tell you, it's only because I'm sitting next to this woman. But yeah, we are working hard at it. I will say it has gotten so much harder this year than it has ever been before. And the only reason that I truly have hope is because of people like Andrea and Caleb, who are pulling the developer community together and really creating a lot of momentum, trying to work on getting dedicated units in new building and working on folks that already have existing units, dedicating units to programs like ours. So it's really going to be a lot of collaboration with the developer community And with anybody, honestly, who has a heart for this work and maybe a rental unit that they'd like to pitch in and help with the cause. But a lot of our work is going to have to be figuring out proactively, how do we access more housing?
We have so many partners who are like here ready to play. There's a new development at 17th and Idaho that SMR and DeChase is doing that has 2 committed units. We have partners through Hawkins, Tomlinson, ourselves at the Pacific Companies, David Turnbull, Casey Lynch. Like, we have partners who are ready to go. And these are big players in our community who really want to keep our community healthy and recognize that housing our people is the first step.
Great. Well, thank you both. Okay, you got to do this quickly. One thing, Stephanie, we're going to start with you. One thing you'd like everyone to know about homelessness in our community.
Yeah, I would like for everyone to know that we actually know how to solve it, and there is an answer, and it's really just a matter of willpower to make it happen. But we know what we need to do. We have the willpower. We just need to get more people on board and bring the community forward so that we demand that everybody in our community have housing.
If I could pile on to that, one of the interesting things that most people probably don't know, and as a business owner, and for those of us who have tried to go to restaurants lately and or experience a true labor shortage, everyone says, well, how could there be homeless people if we have a labor shortage? Why don't they have a job and have a home? So interestingly enough, currently on the waiting list of families waiting to be housed, over 35% of the people waiting to be housed are working. And imagine the extent of process that these families go through to clean themselves up and be presentable for school, for their job every day. And imagine that many of these families are women who are fleeing domestic violence and who have previously never been allowed to work. So it is an interesting environment that we experience. And so often we're able to say, well, get a job, get a home. And with our increasing rental rates, low vacancy rate, high fleeing of domestic violence, and these families are doing everything they can to be able to make ends meet. And it's our job to be able to help provide that gap, and we can do it.
We totally can.
Well, Andrew and Stephanie, thank you both, because you both were really real there. And I think that's what we needed to hear tonight. So thank you for sharing your experiences and for working in the program, and Andrea for really making this all happen. So thank you both. Well, that concludes our formal program. So if you didn't hear me about 6 times past, we got to raise $75,000 tonight. House 10 families in the Treasure Valley, and we can do that. So if you haven't donated, there's a number of ways that you can. You can go online. They're going to put that on the screen. You can send a check. It's in the chat box. You can also go on and buy an auction item. The more you donate, the more you help, and the more we better our community. We live in a great community. We know that. And so let's just make it the very best for the people in need. So again, together we have learned what it is like to experience homelessness. And that is really a daunting thought. And so I appreciate Ashley for being here and everyone for sharing their experiences on what it looks like in the Treasure Valley and how we can really change all of this. Thank you to our speakers, all of our Catch the Flavor sponsors. You're all wonderful. And of course, to everyone who contributes to this good work. You are all amazing people. Together, we can continue to house people and families, individuals. Think about it. Kids are sleeping in cars tonight. Men and women, moms, dads, sons, daughters are sleeping in cars tonight. Let's help them get out of those cars and into warm homes in Idaho. We want to be the first city to end homelessness. And we know that Boise can do that. So let's make it happen. Okay, I've got 3 calls to action here before we close off tonight. Share what you have learned tonight. I know that I personally learned a lot, and I will be sharing. I hope you do too. Reach out to Catch if you have questions. If you need statistics, they will be happy to give you those answers and tell you where that money is being spent. Financially support Catch. Everything you do helps. Again, they need the money. They can make it work to end homelessness, to be the first city to end homelessness, and that being Boise right here. Our online fundraiser will be open until November 5th. So you do have some time to go on there and do that. We want you to do that tonight, and then we want you to do it again all the way through the 5th. But you do have until the 5th to make that happen. Housing inventory, as we know, is the greatest barrier. It's a barrier in homelessness. It's a barrier for people trying to buy new homes. And it is really the problem in solving the homelessness problem or the homelessness issue. If you and someone you know owns housing, manages housing, is a developer, has any way to create housing, we want to hear from you. Please contact Catch and become a part of the great network that Andrea and Caleb are part of right now. Together we can do this. Together we can realize Catch's vision that every person, every family gets a home. Thank you for joining us again. My name is Isabel Bilbao. It has been an honor to be your MC this evening, and I hope that you have a great rest of your night. Thank you.